So I think we'll get started. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I didn't set up a dory for this event, but after the talk, we can have a Q&A. You can just ping me your questions on my ID. That is chirania@google.com, CHIRANIA. We have the pleasure of welcoming Mrs. Swati Ram from India, who is a full-time volunteer for Youth for Seva in India, and she is the national coordinator for Youth for Seva. She has worked in the corporate industry for up to 7 years, and then decided to devote her whole life for Youth for Seva after that. Youth for Seva is a non-profit organization which has more than 50,000 volunteers in India, and they do projects all across India. She'll be speaking more about it. Swati Ram has been instrumental in the rehabilitation work in the Uttarakhand floods and in the Chennai floods, not to mention many more projects. She will be speaking for around 20 minutes, and then we'll have question and answers. So I just call Swati Ram.
I can see people. I can only talk to you guys. Yeah, hi, good morning. This is Swati. And at the outset, I would like to first thank Google and Pratik here for giving me this platform to talk to all of you about what the volunteering landscape back in India looks like. I've been in the US, I've been touring US for about a month now. So I started from New York, where I had a conference to present a paper on volunteering. I was then in the DC area, I was in Virginia, Houston, where Harvey Relief is currently going on, then in Chicago, and finally in Bay Area. I got to see a lot of efforts happening on the field here and how volunteers are engaged, not only through Seva International, the organization that is actually hosting my program and tour here, but also just, in the community as a whole. You could walk into a school here, a library, or a hospital and tell them that you have some time to give, and they know how to make use of it. If you contrast that back to India, I don't know how many of you were in India in the last 4 or 5 years, or maybe you left India 10 years ago, the situation has really changed. But one thing which still remains peculiar is that when you go tell someone that you want to donate time back to the community, they have no idea how to, make use of your time. So if you go say, I want to do something for you, the best response you would probably hear from a school headmaster or a doctor in a public hospital is, okay, can you give me money to pay my current bill or the power bill, or get me a fan or a bench for my kids or a chair for myself. So this is what we set out to change. Interestingly, Youth for Seva has its roots in Bay Area, like I was just sharing with people here. Our founder Venkatesh Murthy was working with EMC Square here, felt the need to have such a structured platform back in India, and that's when we moved back and started Youth for Seva in 2007 in Bangalore. Those were our origins, and today we are spread across 10 states and in 33 cities. And we see a huge change in the way volunteering has been accepted in India. To start with, probably you would have heard a lot of family members or friends who would want to go celebrate their birthday in an orphanage, donate some time or mostly in kind, say a cake, some rice, and come back, and then not think about what really is happening back there and wait for another year to see if I could do something like that. Which is not really bad. It's a good starting point. But the whole question was, can we start doing something more than this? We have the time, we have the skills, we are educated. Can we also devote back to the society to make a change there? This is the whole platform that Youth for Seva wanted to give. Because to give you some statistics from India, say for example in the health field, right? The ratio of doctors to the number of people requiring medical care is something like 1:3,500. If you contrast that to USA, it's about 1:359. And I hear Cuba has the best, which is 1:155. So you can just imagine the kind of difficulties people go through on a daily basis, especially if they are from the underprivileged background. Similarly, education, I think only 46% of India is literate. And the measure of literacy, if they could at least write their own name. So that's why you see the Anguta chap or the thumb impression everywhere. And even when kids roll out, they're rolled into school, I think 50 to 55% of them drop out by the time they reach 7th standard. So, but how do you really fix this? Still now, I think the mode of operation or what we have been thinking is it's all the government's job. We have paid taxes and can we just stop at that? We have done our bit. So that's why we thought everybody needs to step in. The government needs to step in, the corporates need to step in. There are a lot of NGOs who are there who need to step in, and citizens as a whole, because we all draw from the community. I keep saying this many times that from the time you wake up, if you could just even make a list of people who have been playing a role in our lives, starting from somebody who grows your vegetable, it's very easy when there is food on our table. We don't think back how the food came. But the number of people who have been engaged in the chain is huge. Similarly, each single thing, the cloth you wear, the sweater, for example, it started from wool, there was sheep, somebody had to rear it, feed it, then get the wool, make it into sweater, get it here, help me buy it. So this whole chain, all of us are drawing back so much from the society. So if not anything else, hobby, passion, commitment, dedication, I think it's a duty that we give back what we got, or at least a part of what we got. So all we are setting out to do is in Youth for Seva, asking people if they could just give 2-3 hours back, which we would tell them how they could use it back to the community. This is the whole idea, because by the statistics you would have got to know what the need is. At the same time, there are a lot of people who actually want to give time back to the society. It's changed. Indian landscape has changed in the last 10 years. To give you some examples, we are actually riding on the wave now, because CSR and corporate volunteer engagement, which was fairly unknown in India, probably even when we started, because till 2010 we had not even thought about CSR, is really picking up. I see people from Cisco here, guests, Google itself. We are tied up with Google as one of the official NGO partners in Hyderabad. There's a lot of focus on employee volunteer engagement. It makes the CSR funds which have been invested very transparent. It also adds to the goodwill, the company goodwill and the employee goodwill, because both of them start trusting each other and liking each other more. So this landscape, and even the colleges and universities have started giving credit points for volunteering and seva, which also encourages a lot of people to come out and give time. So this whole concept of donating back time, that's the whole important point of today's discussion. And I will just give you a brief of the journey that we have had at Youth for Seva and how do we really work. Because one doubt which people always carry when they want to volunteer is, can I really make a difference? What's the use if I give back 2 hours? What is it really going to make when the magnitude of problems is so huge? So it's 2 hours per person, but like last year alone, Youth for Seva engaged 17,000 plus volunteers. So that into 2 is huge time, right? That brings in a lot of difference. So I just wanted to give you a few examples of what volunteers have been doing and how it could make a difference. But I would want to be more open to questions, because I need to know what you people want to know about the scene back in India. So volunteers mostly, for example, come through our website, they register online. It's very rare that we go scouting for volunteers, because the number of volunteers who just register are so huge that even if we could make use of all of their time, it's going to make a lot of difference. So for example, in a city like Bangalore, we have almost 270 registrations per month, which come just online. And when we go do a survey of just asking people, how did you really come here? They say, oh, we were looking for seva. What can I do over the weekend? How do I give back? Vivekananda. So if you see the shift in thinking, it's changed from doing on the weekend, right? People probably only wanted to go out with friends before, watch movies, just laze out at home, to can I really do something for the community? That change is the starting point. So people actually look for opportunities, they register, then we get in touch with them, we orient them, we train them and map them to projects. So this is on the supply side. So what's really on the demand side? So a lot of schools today, if I'm sure a lot of you would have at least seen the public school system or government school system in India, they come with their own problems. I'm really not blaming the teachers, because to break some misconceptions, it's very easy to say government school teachers don't do anything. But it's different. If you see on the field, it's really different. These teachers are loaded with a lot of work. They not only teach, they're involved in census, they're involved in a lot of admin work in the school, and there are some, I don't know, I wouldn't call it funny, but it's really funny, but the things in place, like the teacher to student ratio they have is 1:80 or 1:100. And the headmaster of the school, for example, has to teach the lowest class and the highest class. So if the number doesn't add up to 80, they make all classes sit together. How is the teacher really supposed to teach? So these are things, which come with the government system in India, which I also played the blame game 10 years ago when I had no idea of what was happening in the society. But this is something you realize. So where do volunteers really fit in here then? One thing we have really seen, we just sat with the teachers and worked out on what are their difficulties. So there is something called Asar survey. You just can Google, go back and Google about it. It's a survey of the education levels of children in India. So the 5th standard students cannot read a 2nd standard textbook. Only 20% of the children who pass out of 5th standard in government or public schools can read a 2nd standard textbook. And if you see, it's called number recognition. That's the other part of the survey. Only 17% of the children can actually recognize the digits from 1 to 9 in 4th standard. So ASR survey is done every year. And this is where we thought, how could volunteers really play a role? So the simplest thing we thought volunteers could do, because they also know it, is to go teach spoken English and basic math concepts in schools, while you're just complementing what the teacher is doing. So you're not really trying to, push into the same space and compete with the teacher. So the teachers are very busy with the curriculum. They have to finish it for the sake of exams. But can volunteers go teach English, teach math, and make these concepts very strong for the kids? Other thing we do is teaching computers in schools, because a lot of our volunteers come from the IT field or are college students. So we set up computer labs with the help of CSR to give infrastructure in schools, and volunteers go teach computers. And most of this happens over the weekend when volunteers have free time. So they are in office from Monday to Friday, but on Saturday or on Sunday in orphanages. And we also learn after school learning centers and slums, because when most of these children get back home, the way our parents helped us with doing homework or asked us what you did in school, there's nobody to ask them that, because their parents don't know the importance of education to start with. So these are very simple ways that Youth for Seva has devised. We want to make volunteering as simple as possible. Will you just come and give us commitment and those 2 hours of time either on Saturday or Sunday, and we will tell you what to do. So there are trainings given, there are resources, there are monthly meetings to get them together and share what they have felt, so that they don't feel demotivated and they keep going. We have sessions by very renowned social workers. We take them to places like Uttarakhand or Chennai where floods have happened, so they can actually see the impact. And by the way, to share with you, because no media shares this, I was there in Uttarakhand doing relief work for almost 20 days. And media covered all probably the negative aspects of how people were totally bored down, they had nothing to do. The most positive stories came out to light when we were in Uttarakhand. There were people who had lost their own homes, and I know a lot of you would now be following Irma or Harvey, but the situation there was very different because it was all hilly areas. And if you people could imagine or visualize, for example, borewells are dug in India, right? What you see above is, like they say, tip of the iceberg. It's about 12 feet, 20 feet deep till you reach groundwater. We could actually see that part of the borewell. If this you see is the road, it had gone down so much. That was the condition in Uttarakhand. And there were hardly any lanes to walk by. We all trekked with the luggage on our back. So it's dark. There's Ganga roaring on one side, mountains on the other side. But people who had even lost their homes had saved life. I can still remember the name. There was one person called Chatar Singh. He actually carried a lady who had just had a heart attack down the mountains and ensured she went to hospital. She survived. So these are the kind of people you get to meet there. And most of the people who were talking about it said, oh, Ganga Maya was just angry with us because we are not treating nature properly today. Hinting at a sustainable lifestyle, which was important. So this is the spirit that you get to see all over India. This is the unseen India that maybe in cities none of us saw. I also didn't do when I was in IT. We have our own shell, we are busy with our lives, and we see whatever the media caters to and shows us. But these are the faces of India, and you can find such faces actually anywhere in India. Youth for Seva today has 65 youth working full-time. They're all from IT, they're students who just passed out, but they see this as their career. They see that giving time here will bring out a change in the country. This is the change in scene which is most important, because even when I quit my job, most people ask me, can you just wait till you retire? I said, who knows how long all of us are here, and more importantly, what will I really do after I retire? You need to do it when that youth is in you. You have that energy to at least do back something to the society. So the sector today, social sector, really needs talent coming in here. Not that everybody has to give full time, then we wouldn't have work also for a lot of us. But can all of us contribute back at least whatever those free hours you have? It could be 2, 3. For example, one whole branch of ours is focused on virtual volunteering. There are women who have taken a break, they have kids at home, can't come out. We don't press everybody that you need to come and do this. Sitting from the confines of your home, there are a lot of things that you could do. To give you an example, blind students in India face a lot of problem because they don't have most of their textbooks in Braille. If you could visualize our books, right, one page of it, they have something called Braille knobs. They have to punch it like this to make one page of Braille. It takes them 4.5 hours. And if you see their palms at the end of it, you would start volunteering today at this moment. There are all bubbles coming up and it's very painful. And there's only one braille printer in a city like Hyderabad, which is very huge in Telangana of India. It's a metro. There are a lot of IT companies, so I'm sure it's on the world map. But there are only 2 braille printers, and these children have to really stand in queues to get that. So the simplest thing people could do is from the confines of their home, spending 1 hour to record the lessons, right? Audio lessons is something they could listen to. Let alone lessons from textbooks. You're reading Harry Potter today. Sometimes when I go to these schools, those kids ask me, Akka, Didi, what is Harry Potter? Everybody is talking. I don't know. How do I really get access to Harry Potter? So novel that you're reading also could be actually recorded. There are audiobooks, yes, but they're in different languages. These kids don't know, but all of us have a regional language probably, or even English is helpful because it makes them learn English if we could be slow and record. These are very simple things. You could talk to them on Skype, help them solve a math problem. So there's not that to the number of opportunities if we really make up our time. So these are simple ways in which people could give back to the society. So we also have a platform called Doctors for Seva, because we found there are also a lot of people in the medical fraternity who want to give back to the society. So we take them to schools, they conduct health camps, and to share some stories of change, we came across a few children. One child had color blindness. Until the child turned 7 and we went and did a health camp there, nobody had even realized the child was colorblind. Everything looked same to him. We used to show him books and ask colors. He used to look at us like, what are you really asking? Because he had no concept of colors in his life. And for 7 years in his life, he has been staying at home, he's been coming to school, nobody had even realized. So the doctor asked him and then figured out that he's colorblind. And we had to come up with, he had to use some spectacles through which he understood colors. The joy on that child's face when he first time saw red, green, he started really jumping and dancing. He had never seen colors. We take so many things for granted. No? From the day we were born, we have our eyes, we have our ears. It's very obvious for me that this is green. I have no idea anybody can see it as something else unless we have seen a black and white movie. Imagine a child which has no concept or idea of colors when everybody else around is talking about something. Similarly, there was a girl who could not hear. The teachers kept hitting her in school, beating her, saying, you don't concentrate, go to the last bench, stand up, do this, do that. When we did her test, she had a simple ear block which could actually be cleared. So these are small things, small things in terms of probably the effort or time we put in, but it brings about such a huge difference. I could share numerous 100 such examples, but this was just to give you an idea of what the volunteering landscape looks like and what's the change that it brings about. Because most people, when we talk to them, they say, we have no idea what we can do. Or they say, I think this is not going to make a difference. Why should I really give this 2 hours? What will 2 hours really make? And I keep telling them, okay, if you feel 2 hours can't make a difference, why don't you give 4? The solution is not that you give 0 then. If 2 can't make a difference, you make 4, right? And at home, if we can't do something, we give it more time and energy. We don't, chalo yaar, baith jate hai, abhi kuch nahi hoga. That's why the mindset is wholly changed from cribbing about something. So if I have to summarize Youth for Seva or the movement of volunteering as a whole, all we wanted to do was channelize this feeling of helplessness. Most of us feel helpless when we see things. I wish I could get rid of, beggary today, slavery today. But it doesn't happen till each of us take a step. Each of us can contribute in some way or the other. So can we channelize this helplessness or even compassion? It's so inherent in us. You can see a child cycling, falls down. All of us run there, right? Nobody told us. You don't even think. It comes inherently. So can we channelize this compassion and helplessness to actually do something for the society? Because only when you channelize this energy and give it a structure, you can see results. This is what we have set out to do at Youth for Seva. What Seva International also is doing here. They're our sister organization here in the US. So they would be a point of contact if any of you want to start giving time today. And it's not really difficult. I'm sure when people ask us what is the change we have brought about, yes, we have numbers to show. We have engaged 48,000 volunteers in the last 10 years. We have impacted 4 lakh beneficiaries. We have done this. But I think each of us, probably every volunteer would agree with me, we have undergone a lot of change. It teaches you patience. It teaches you empathy. It makes your life better. It's good for our own selves. If not anything else, you're making a change within yourself. Nothing impacts you, makes you feel pessimistic now. There are volunteers before. I'm sure all of you know child marriages are prevalent in India. They have changed to some extent, but it's still there. So a lot of times these volunteers, when they're going and teaching in government schools, they come and they used to crib before. Oh God, that girl, she used to study so well. She got married. I hate this system. I hate India. The same volunteers now, they try to fix this rather than cribbing about it. So that's the difference we have seen. Some things are so subtle. They go try to talk to the parents, tell them that please don't get this girl married. She'll again have kids when she's just 13 years old. Kids will undergo the same thing again. What happens? What are the health problems? So, this volunteer mindset or each personal mindset changes from cribbing about the system or just saying, I have no role to play in this, to yes, what can I do really? And then probably approach the government or whoever can do something. So ultimately, today, if India has to be risen, you need corporates, you definitely need the government, you need everything else. More importantly, it needs us. So I keep saying this when I go to some places that India is surely shining and changing. You can see a huge difference. We no longer are surprised by seeing high rises or all possible comforts and luxuries are today available in India. Everything is there, and more importantly, people are changing. Things, if you see the graph, there's a long way to go, but we've at least started moving in that direction. So I keep saying that you choose to be the player or the spectator. When India wins a World Cup, all of us can sit and applaud. But what probably Dhoni or Virat Kohli and his team are going through is different because they've actually worked and brought that win for you. That's the difference we all need to play. Do you need to just be a spectator and applaud what's happening? Or, hey, I was a part of India shining like that, The feel and thrill that gives you will definitely be different. So let's all be players, and this is not limited to India alone because this world is your family. I've been here for a month. I've been staying with different hosts. Most of them I haven't even met even once in life. But it doesn't feel like that, because we're all connected. We're collectively working towards the betterment of the society. So it's all Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, like they say. Wherever we are, we owe it to the community. We need to give back. So let's keep that one idea in our mind probably and work towards it so that it definitely empowers us more. It makes our life more fruitful. And I don't know, there was this one research or survey which probably came from US once where a nurse talks to a lot of people who are on their deathbed about what is that one regret in life. And most of them spoke about not actually doing anything for even one person other than themselves. So let's not actually carry that regret and probably buck up before we start feeling like that. It's not difficult to do something for others. And if you analyze sometimes as to when you felt the happiest, it's sometimes when the other person feels happy. Seema aunty is here. She is my chachi and also works with Seva International here. She said, so I came to Bay Area only day before and there are a lot of meetings scheduled, only yesterday was free. She said, I want to show you something here today. And though her legs were paining, she was tired because we roamed around too much around Pier 39 and all. She was so happy at the end of the day. She's smiling. She's like, I love the outcome. I showed you so many things. We did this, we did that. Where did that happiness lie? Not in the fact that her feet were paining or she just wanted to dash on bed. She's like, okay, here is a girl who has come to Bay Area first time. And she's happy with what I've shown. You just imagine, I'm not telling this theoretically. It's very easy to see this around yourselves. You do something for others, you really feel genuinely happy about it. Because for once you've thought about something beyond yourself. So that's Seva in a nutshell actually. What can I do for at least one person other than myself? Thanks for the time. I think this is all I wanted to share because there are a lot of examples, but there's the website. You could always stay in touch with me. So if there are any questions, I would want to.
I have a question about the programs where...
Can you come here and give the question? So, you can come here and give the question.
Yeah.
We can listen on the live stream as well.
So my question is, what kind of programs do you have where a person like me sitting here, far away from India, can make an impact, on the ground there, maybe a child or someone, right? Especially like I'm interested more about education. I think you mentioned one statistics where fifth grade child cannot read a second grade book, right? So I've seen programs here where you can tutor them online.
Yes, right.
And so I'm interested in those, if you have any programs like that.
Yeah, tutoring online is one thing, but also preparing resources for these kids itself sometimes. Maybe if you are creative, if you like doing that, putting together a fun way of, where these kids could use it probably. See, tutoring sometimes a difficulty which arrives is the time zone. People don't want to do it from here when they want to sleep and take that time out. But if you really want to do it, it's surely available.
Okay.
Yeah, and
How
that's
do I get connected? You know?
I'll just give you my card after the session, or you could visit our website. So
Okay.
that's definitely one way. But a lot of people who like designing resources, or simple stories they want to put together, which could be told back to children in India, shown. That's definitely one way.
Okay.
But third point is, whenever you visit India, you're very welcome. You spend a month there or a week. You want to see something. That's an open offer for everyone actually.
And what locations are you there?
So we are there all across India. And where do you go to usually?
I usually go to Delhi, Lucknow.
Oh, sure. Delhi is one of our strongest chapters actually. So definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I won't be in Delhi, but yeah,
Sure.
Lucknow.
Yeah, we are spread across India, and there are a lot of people taking out time now to come and say 1 month I want to do something in India, or even I want to see what's going around. So that's definitely an option. But online tutoring, yes, you can definitely do it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I want to get in touch with you.
Yes, sure.
So we already moved seamlessly into Q&A time. Thank you, Swati ji, for the great talk and information. If anybody has questions, I didn't put up a Dory, but feel free to just ping me on my LDAP. That is chirania@google.com. And we can read out the question loud, and we can get Swati to answer the questions. Any questions for Swati with Youth for Seva or for Seva USA as well? In the meantime, people in the room can also, if you have any questions, please feel free to come to the podium and ask a question. And
Hi Swati, thanks for all the information and the work that your team is doing in India. I want to know, let's say there are high school kids here who are 16, 17 years old. Can they come and spend like 1 month during the summer, and what kind of projects they can do?
Yeah. So we do have internship opportunities. There are a lot of students already coming in from US and other parts of India to serve in India. Yeah, but 6 weeks is what we say they should at least put in usually, because you said 4 weeks, right?
Yeah, 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay. Which should also be okay, because sometimes people just come for a week and before they get started, the time is over.
Yes.
So neither do they get a good feel, or neither can something be done on the field. So if it's like 4 to 6 weeks, we could definitely map them in some projects. They would be staying with hosts' families.
Okay.
And they would be mapped to a project depending on their skills and interests. Language would be a barrier in some cases, in which case they might have to pull along or buddy along with one of our volunteers to get a realistic feel. But if they could speak an Indian language at whatever level, it will be more easier to communicate with the public school children, for example, because they really don't know English.
Okay.
But with even knowing a minimal level of language, it's still okay, because they also know minimal English, and they like people visiting them more than anything else, because they have this feel of nobody else is coming and visiting us. Who are we really? They don't feel inclusive in the society. Okay. That definitely changes, and that's the major plus point of somebody coming and visiting them and spending time with them.
Okay. So do you organize special projects during certain time, or is that done case by case basis?
So we have projects running all through the year, like in teaching and in health camps. But certain parts of the year, like summer holidays, and vacation times, there are specific projects like summer camps running.
Okay.
But I'm afraid they don't coincide with the calendars here, because these are Indian calendars and not really to match here. But any time of the year that they come, I'm sure they could be engaged in something to get a feel and, also learn something back from the community, more importantly. Because most people who come, that's what they claim. I don't know what I gave, but the learnings that they get that they could come back and employ here are a lot more.
Okay. Thank you.
I can actually give some more answers on the question. So in Seva USA, we have Youth for Seva internships, where you are for Seva internships, where kids who are doing undergrad here, a lot of them, they go for a summer internship in India, and there we are partnered with Youth for Seva to do projects there.
Okay.
So we have had, so every year we invite applications before the summer when the kids are applying for internships.
Yes.
And at that time, this is a complete internship. So we take care of accommodation and everything in India, based on where you're going in India. And we have had last year we have had people who have gone to like neonatal wards and done internship in the neonatal ward in the hospital for 3 months. One kid, Nidhi, she actually went to Bangalore in a government hospital and help set up automation of a lot of the framework. So we do have such success stories. For that, I would just ask you to look out at sevausa.org or send an email to YFS, Youth for Seva, or UA for Seva, at sevausa.org, and we do these internships from the US.
So most of the interns we get are usually the ones interested in public health because they're probably pursuing it here. I think one example that he gave. Then there are students who have come and worked on menstrual hygiene awareness. So one of the, I think he was from probably North Carolina, John Blaze. He was there 2 years ago in Hyderabad. He helped us set up a breakfast program in a public school. Because most of these children, were kids of migrant labor and they came to school without having breakfast. And they all were anemic when we did a health test. And we got to know because they were not eating the NV. NV is nutrition value that has to go into their, bodies per day. So we started a breakfast intervention program, and that was completely designed by John Blaze, who was from the University of North Carolina. So these are the kind of interventions that people from here also could make.
That's great.
So thank you. I have a question from a live stream viewer. Are we doing anything for controlling pollution in cities?
Okay. Good question, but very vast. We are doing our own bits actually. We have taken sapling plantation at a very huge scale, on a very mass scale. But the way we are different from a lot of other people who are doing plantation is that we look at sustainable plantation. So any project we take up, we are only doing things which are need-based, not going with an expert mindset of I know everything and I'll give you this, take it if you want it. Then we make sure we engage the community and we do projects which are only sustainable. So tremendous impact could be generated. See, pollution is not something which could probably change in a day or two. It needs years together and maybe probably for our next generation. But we are taking care of doing a lot of sapling plantation. We have also started afforestation efforts itself because saplings could just be planted, say, within a school or on the roads where we have been able to get the community to water and look after them daily. But there are a lot of barren land in many cities where we have started afforestation efforts so we could increase the green cover. This is definitely one way in which we have been trying to tackle pollution. Other thing is definitely promoting carpooling and biking itself in, to your office or work or wherever you go. So a lot of our volunteers have started using carpooling, also biking to work, and they spread this message everywhere. So this is these are two ways in which I think we are contributing to this, but definitely requires a lot more effort. So we are trying to work with third-party experts who could tell us how we could probably bring about more change with volunteer intervention. Yeah, if that answered the question.
Yeah, thank you. Incidentally, this Saturday on October 7th, we have a tree plantation program in East Palo Alto for Seva as part of our SERV program.
Nice.
So very, very relevant.
Yeah, sometimes we all question, sapling plantation. I've seen a lot of cynicism in people's minds even back there, asking, I'm planting a plant, how does it really make a change? But just remember that whatever we have today also is something people planted ages ago. It didn't just come there on its own. So change requires time, change requires patience. So that's the first thing that we have to believe in and have that conviction that this will happen. So somewhere when we are looking at plans, it may not be right for tomorrow, but carpooling is something which could definitely help tomorrow. We do a lot of other awareness and sensitization issues itself on how pollution is causing harms. But definitely green cover is the only way to go if we have to tackle this problem, globally at a long-term level. That's one thing I could definitely say. Other thing I wanted to mention is lake restoration. I don't know how many of, I think it's become very popular and you people are on Google, so YouTube is something you are working on. So there was this video which went viral of lakes foaming in Bangalore. That was a major impact of pollution. So we have formed teams now, and when I say it's not only Youth for Seva, there are a lot of organizations which have started like this with focus areas. Like our focus is mainly on people, right? How people could contribute back. So there are committees which are totally working only on lake restoration because lakes are such important parts of our ecosystem. They increase your groundwater level. They also give, a platform for many fauna and flora to thrive. So lake restoration, we are doing it with many corporates, like we are tied up with Cisco, we are tied up with Google in Hyderabad, we are tied up with Wells Fargo. So these are major corporates who are funding our local lake restoration efforts. So this is definitely one thing we are doing in the direction of tackling the environmental changes.
Thank you. If anybody is not able to reach me for questions, my LDAP is CHIRANIA, Chirania@google.com. Feel free to ask any questions. We'll be taking questions for 6 more minutes. In the meantime, I have a question as well.
Yeah, please.
So we do so many volunteering activities, and you said we have more than 40,000 people who have volunteered. And you said you have 60 people who are full-time volunteers in India. Where are they spread across in India? Where do you have presence?
So we are spread across 10 states currently. So present in 33 cities. I have a map. I don't know if you'll be able to show it here. I could show a photo there, right? I have it right. Okay. What did you say?
Photo only this way.
Photo only this way?
It's here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So this is the spread, but we're working with partners even in the other places. So if any efforts are required, we would definitely be able to help you either in ways of what you want to do. Because when I presented in Houston, Chicago, everywhere, people always relate more to the region they come from. I mean, yes, India is ours, the world is ours. But oh, आप महाराष्ट्र से हैं, वहाँ पे कुछ काम चल रहा है, everybody feels good about it. You know, it's inherent. So a lot of people, for example, we have started a weekend fellowship now. All of us have our roots back in some village, right? If you trace back whatever it is, 1, 2, 3 generations. So just going back to the village and contributing there could actually change the whole ecosystem. Because the smallest unit of the society, when you start serving, it changes everything else. So we have created a weekend fellowship where IT employees have free time on Saturday, Sunday. They leave on Friday night or Saturday morning, go back to their village. We have created modules of what changes they could bring in there and come back on Sunday evening or Monday morning. So through our partners, we could also work anywhere else in India. Though we have our full-timers only spread across whatever regions you see here. So that's because a lot of people I met here had the same questions. Our village has no school. How can you really help us take it there if we could help you in, say, fundraising or connect you with some people there? So that's definitely feasible because I would say the outcome of this talk should definitely be that you know what is happening in India. But I would want you to reach out to me or my team more if you want some help in really making the change back in India, because you're here, you're helping us put India on the world map for the others to understand what India really is. So if we could help you, you know, take your ideas and what you want to do back to your villages and cities or towns there, that is what will make me the happiest more than anything else out of as an outcome of this talk.
Thank you. We have one more question.
Yeah.
Does Seva participate in any activism efforts, that is to mobilize crowds, stage protest or etc. to fix governance?
No, that's not our focus at all. We believe in a bottom-up approach. We want every person to be the change. So our mission statement, even if you go on our website, says we'll create a movement of volunteering, which means we want people to collectively get together, and we say we create change makers, which means each person believes in himself. There might be other top-down efforts happening, but ours is going to be totally a bottom-up approach where we want each person to be the change and give back time to the society in terms of work, not really getting together. And we only do awareness sessions, which has nothing to do with activism. This is more where people probably go to a traffic signal, try to regulate it, tell people to, as simple as shut off their engines when the signals are red so that, you know, you save something and not contribute to pollution, but absolutely no activism. Yes.
Thank you. We have one more question.
Yeah.
Are there any programs to help farmers who are suffering from drought? Are any programs which help tribals? What are the challenges of working in tribal regions?
Okay. So interesting, actually. There are a lot of challenges everywhere, let alone in tribal regions. I was sharing an example in one of the previous talks where I said back in 2010, when we started our second chapter in Hyderabad, we wanted to do a health camp. Because we are all experts, right? We believe we know everything. So we never saw what the need is. We bought medicines worth $500 for the amount here. And then we asked 4 doctors, Acha, are you free today? Can you just come with us to a slum? And they're very good. We asked 10 doctors and 4 of them agreed. We took them to a slum and we put shop there. You know, we sat with everything ready. We had a lot of medicines to give away. You see, we wanted to really give them away and finish it by the end of the day. We sat at 8 a.m. in the morning. We started, but till 4 p.m. nobody turned up. That was like 8 hours. Then we went now. Then we realized we didn't even tell anybody. We just put posters and said, okay, there is a camp happening here. So we then went and started knocking every door, and most people asked us, which political party are you from? Because vote bank politics is what works. So they thought if you're trying to do something for us, you might really be from a party and you want my votes. So this is a challenge, when we go with this mindset of I have something to give you. I am on a high pedestal. You're somewhere. I have come to give you, take it. So Swami Vivekananda puts this beautifully. He says, who are you to really serve? You're just an instrument of change. So we learned a very big lesson. So when we go to tribal areas now, we don't go say, Chal, I'll do all this for you. We go more as, this is called a city-town or a city-forest connect. So each of us have something to learn from each other. For example, the way they live sustainable lifestyles without chopping off a simple twig, that's something we really have to take away from them. We change our approach from then on to see what problems they are actually facing and how do you really try to fix them. For example, health is a major issue, though they use a lot of this regular, the local indigenous kinds of solutions to, a lot of health problems. But for example, say diagnosis or when it comes to pregnancy and childbirth, they don't have a place where they could actually go, and hygiene is a major problem which was thriving. So then we saw that reach to doctors is what, for example, is most important to them. That's when we started the Doctors for Seva platform, where we have doctors who go serve there. We go to the nearest town, to the tribal village or the forest, we sign up doctors. So they go there once a week. So then we are actually solving the problems that the tribals need. Another problem we saw was, of course, a drinking problem. And this again, we burnt our fingers because I myself personally went and tried to give a lot of gyan to some men who were drinking. And they said, you sit in an AC office and work all day. You don't have to do anything else except probably walking around. Do you know how much my muscles ache when I drive an auto whole day? Or if I don't drink, I can't sleep. And if I can't sleep, I can't get up the next day. So, solutions are not as easy as we think sometimes. And we can't tell somebody about what we haven't undergone any day. So we formed a group of these men. We wanted the change to come through them. So one simple thing we started was a night school so that they don't have time to actually drink. So they have dinner, come to the school, and we didn't just teach them. They do bhajans. Sometimes they sing tribal songs together. Then we teach them some things. So then they're gone. They go home and they have time to just sleep. So then when you change 3-4 people, they would be better at changing the whole community than actually you going and giving gyan. It doesn't always happen from a podium. So these are some things, the way in which we have dealt with tribals. So farmers, again, we have not really directly worked through them, but there are a few partners that we are working with who majorly tell us what they do the need analysis and tell us what are the needs of the farmer. For example, in one village in Karnataka, the farmers were interested in learning English because they said when they go to a farmer's market, they feel more confident if they know some words in English. This is very simple. These are not things you think about unless you read that. So we should also remember that there are a lot of problems in the society, but each NGO has a focus area. Our focus is majorly on what could we do through funding intervention by CSR and through volunteer intervention. So we sent college students there, the internship that you're talking about. They stayed for 2 months, taught the farmers English. But interestingly, after that, they saw these farmers had a problem with, not having lighting or power. So they designed a simple solar lantern, which just a week before I came here, they went and gave it to the farmers. So these are the kind of interventions, and a lot of times they wanted indigenous seeds. And so there are some things called seed balls being made in India now. I don't know how many of you are aware, but you could just go back and Google for one of the efforts for afforestation, right? Because it's not easy to plant saplings at a massive scale. And if you just imagine in mountain areas or forests, who is really watering the saplings? It's all nature taking care of. So all you need is to sow the seed. So there is something called seed balls being made. We get good indigenous seeds. We mix them with gobar and then sand, mud and everything. Everybody likes doing this. It's like chocolate balls, it looks like. So it's like a family volunteering effort. Everybody comes, make seed balls. All people have to do is when they're walking around, they need to throw it, disperse it everywhere. And it then springs into saplings. So this is something the farmers wanted us to do because it will help them spread the green ecosystem and not keep the land barren. So whatever the problems we have come across and we could fix it by volunteer intervention and by funding, we have been helping in those efforts. Yes. It's time.
We have time. Yeah. Thank you. Are there any more questions in live stream or in the hall? Okay. Going once, twice. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and taking your time out to share your questions and let Swati share her experiences of volunteering in India. I'm sure people like Swati, as far as they are there, the volunteering landscape of India will get better and better, and the challenges will be converted to opportunities. So, if you want to connect with Youth for Seva at any time, there is this website which you can see, youthforseva.org, youthforseva.org. I'll shortly send an email with the summary and some links of what was mentioned in the talk. Thank you again for joining us.